Hey gang, this is Pat Dewar, and we're here with Ed Llewellyn, who is a master hypnotist over in the Keller area, and we're going to be talking about, well, gastric band procedure. One of the things that what that really means in this sits is that it's neuro gastric band procedure, because everybody knows about lap band and they know about the different things that are the expensive procedures. But when I talked to Ed, he said, the funny thing is that I can actually help people take care of that weight and help them lose it in a way that doesn't involve any surgery. So that got my attention because I've been looking for some sort of, I don't know, neurogastric pill that would help me lose weight real quickly, and he says he's got the answer. So today, thank you so much, Ed, for being on the show and literally creating some value in teaching people things about why so much unwanted weight and where we can go from there.
All right.
So, Ed, thank you.
I'm glad to be here.
Well, go ahead. Let's talk about it. What's the deal with weight? I mean, why have I gained so much? And a lot of other Americans, I guess the percentages are huge on weight retention and obesity in America, and it sounds like you've got the answer between your ears.
Yeah, it's the what happens is many times we hear all these things about obesity and how people overeat, and it's because McDonald's or Burger King or whoever they've all got too much on their menu, and when they their serving sizes are too big, and people just want to eat junk food. And What's interesting is that's all true. People do those things, and they eat too many carbs and too many fats and all those kind of things. But what most people, including doctors, don't stop to really appreciate is what's the underlying cause? What is it that why would somebody? I mean, just think about it. I mean, you see some of these people walking around. I saw a guy the other day. It's about my height, but at least 150 pounds heavier than me. And I'm not a small guy. But this person had to be weighing 400 pounds easy. And you got to think, why would somebody do that to themselves? And so it all, and you're right. I mean, it all comes from right up here. One of the first things that happens is when people are children, they're told different things, and maybe they're a little bit heavy when they're a child, and so the parents say, you know what, you're big boned, you're just that way, and so they accept that as part of their identity, and so they say, hey, it's just me, and this is the way I am. The mind is amazing, because how we think is how we become. And so because of that, they'll become like that, and that's their excuse their entire life, is that they're just big boned. A lot of it, though, at least my experience working with people, has to do with with stress in life. And so much of the time, here we are in Dallas, Texas, middle of of the southern world here, and I hear people all the time talk about comfort food. And so when people, they get stressed, they get nervous, they get worried, they get, some emotion come over them. And so what do? They reach out and grab that food. And it literally becomes an automatic behavior. It was interesting. I worked with a person quite a few years ago, and there was a certain time every night where she was compelled, usually everybody else was in bed, TV was off, and she would sit at the dining room table with a bag of either corn chips, tortilla chips, or potato chips, and literally just sit there and went into an automatic state of just one after the other, one after the other. And so that's what causes a lot of the eating, extra eating that goes, that causes people to gain so much weight.
Interesting. I I know that, before I got married, I weighed 170, which is a great weight for me, and when I got married, I didn't take as much time to work out, and then I started eating human food again, instead of, I don't know if protein drinks are considered alien food, but maybe they are. And I started putting on weight again, and it was so frustrating. And then eating the wrong food at the right time with no exercise, I guess that could hurt too.
Sure.
But it really is that state, isn't it? It's that watching the tube, stuff in your face, and not doing anything about it is what I'm hearing. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So when you think of automatic behaviors, uh, your heart beating, that's a nice automatic behavior to have.
This week, I'm really thankful for it.
Your breathing, every time you take in a breath, rarely do you ever try to control it, and when you do, you just mess it up because you think, okay, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, and then it becomes really hard work. So there are systems within our mind and our body that are automatically controlled, and one of those is there are those hunger pains that we get. So what you're talking about there, it may be that, yeah, so you're not exercising as much. The choice of foods at the wrong time may not be the best. But just think about what's causing that. There's a sensation in your body, and when you feel that sensation in your body, you feel a need to fulfill that sensation, to do something to make it go away. It's those hunger pains. They're an unconscious, literally, they're a hallucination that the unconscious mind produces that says, hey, you need to feed this organism. And so that's it. And then when you add in on top of that the wrong foods, the wrong time, that creates that thing that we call extra weight.
Well, I mean, why can't people stop that?
It's just like, if you have a mosquito flying around and you're busy doing something and all of a sudden you hear it in your ear, you just go like that. You don't even think about it. It's unconscious. You just know that's the thing to do is when you feel it close is to do that. The same thing with our eating habits. How many times, how many people, I should say, have grown up with the belief installed in them that you eat everything on your plate because it's what? It's wasteful. In my case, it was always the kids in China were starving. So our parents, with all good intent, installed some beliefs on top of these automatic behaviors that cause us to continue to eat until our plate is empty, because that's the right thing to do. That's the belief that's here. We throw a little bit of guilt on top of that, because if we want to stop, we start feeling guilty. Again, it's an automatic guilt that we get that's been installed, so that we go, I better not leave that there because there's other people in the world that are starving, and I should, it's wasteful to throw that food out. So those things, such as those beliefs, those automatic behaviors, again, it's all like the perfect storm, but when it comes together, it just adds on top, and then when you have that identity that, I'm just heavy, I'm just this way, and you accept it, and that becomes who you are, then there's no real way to stop it.
Interesting. So, I know that the reason we've started these hangouts, and we've got several planned, is to give people good content. What we've talked about today are just basically the whys.
Right.
I know that there are two things that everybody out there ought to be asking. One is there anything I can do? And then two is, obviously you have some answers at your place. They should be able to connect to you. Are there any steps that they can do before they get to you that might begin to help them get a control on these things?
Sure. We're going to talk about something that's very very science focused from a neurological standpoint, of course, but people can actually have a lot of control over that themselves. Without getting too deep into it, one of the worst things people can do is to completely avoid eating all the bad foods. And that may sound really odd, but
Sure, it just gave me a ticket to go eat something.
that's right. But here's what's interesting. There's the mind does a number of things, of course, all at once, simultaneously. A couple of them are what's called cognitive ease, which means if you're doing something difficult like dieting, it's going to look for an easy way to get around it. That makes sense, right?
Yeah, it does.
It's going to substitute something so that it's easier for it to accomplish. The second thing is what's called ego depletion. And ego depletion is when people use willpower, and they've got this willpower, and they're just going to grit through it and bear through it, and they're going to force this thing to just make it happen. And as you watch people like that, what happens is eventually that ego depletion, which means, for instance, the mind makes up about 5% of the body weight, yet uses 20% or more of the energy that the body produces. So that ego depletion means you've used up all these reserves, forcing yourself to avoid doing something, and then when you finally give in, for two reasons. Number one, you'll consume more than what you would have if you would have just eaten a little bit of the bad foods at a time, and because it's so much glucose has been used up using willpower, now it wants to restore that. So what's it go after? Sugars, carbohydrates, all the stuff that causes a person to gain weight, because it wants to restore that balance of glucose in the brain. So willpower can, not always, but can be actually a detriment to the long-term dieting and weight loss program.
Interesting. So, obviously, one of the things that I encourage people to do is connect to you. And if they do, how should they do it, and what should they expect?
Sure. Well, at the bottom of the screen, you should be able to see my website, which is trans-think.com. They can go there. There's a page of testimonials that people put on there for me. They can go to my Facebook page. Again, it's facebook.com / transformative thinking, and see testimonials there as well as, of course, some posts and so forth. They can contact me at ed@trans-think.com or at 972-900-9207. And what they can expect is just to have a very easygoing discussion about what they want to accomplish, what I can do to help them. And I'm a big believer in not putting pressure on people. This is something that, if they want help, that's what I'm here for. I can't make anybody do anything, and so I don't try to make anybody do anything. I'm just here to offer help and assistance to those that really are looking for it.
Excellent. Do they have to be in the DFW area to work with you?
We could actually do some work together over Skype. So that's an opportunity, and so we could set up a Skype call, do some work over Skype. Absolutely.
Very good. Well, folks, today we really just wanted to kind of glaze over a little bit of the beginning stones of why people gain weight, what they can begin to do, what are some of the stumbling blocks, just to try to give you an understanding that there is a thing that we're going to call Neuro gastric band procedure that is non-invasive, non-surgical, completely worthwhile looking at. And I know that Ed has put even some materials together and some packets together. If you're interested in that sort of thing, you ought to connect to him. Now, what was the phone number again, Ed, if they want to just give you a holler?
Sure, it's 972-900-9207. 9207.
Very good. And so, again, that's just one way you can connect. There's more information coming. These shows will come out probably about once a week for a while, and then that way we can build up a bit of a group of them that you can use for learning how to control weight and how to connect to Ed, and give you good value every time. Next time we'll be talking about diet pills and diet and weight loss programs in general. What works, what doesn't work, what you can do. Thanks again for watching today. Share it if it's been of value to you. And again, thanks again for doing this, Ed, because I know that people are going to get a great deal of value on ways that they can save themselves a whole lot of money. I know that band procedure, the surgical procedure, is very expensive, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're looking at least what I've checked into, a minimum $25,000 to $35,000 for the different band procedures that are available out there. Plus, you have the risk of, anytime that someone cuts you open, of possibility of infection. There's downtime. There's going to be antibiotics and drugs involved, anesthesia. And a lot of people don't want to deal with those kind of things. They, especially if a person's looking to do something very natural, something that's very quick, very easy. There are alternatives to those things that are, again, very invasive and have a lot of potential dangers associated with them.
Well, and the other thing is, I don't want to really even knock what those other procedures. I know that there have been a lot of people. My biggest concern in the way that this conversation started, as you remember, Ed, is that I was sitting there going, I've known several people that have gone through that operation, and they lost a ton of weight. I saw a couple of people lose over 100 pounds, and was so proud of their weight loss. But over the next 3 years, I watched them gain that weight back. So I wanted, I came to you going, man, don't you have some sort of like psychological gastric bypass kind of platform or program you can do to help people control their weight? And you were like, yeah, we do actually, and there are programs available that can help people save their lives a lot of times and lose the weight and get things done right without spending, like you said, upwards of $25,000 plus for a procedure that many times, and I'm not saying all the time, I know that there have been lots of people out there, I'm just saying the people I know that have been through this lap band type of procedure that gained the weight back after they lost it. They did lose the weight, it was effective, it just didn't stick. Do you work with any people that have been through it? Because it sounds like there is something in them mentally or psychologically that is affecting their consumption, and they end up gaining the weight back.
Yeah, I mean, if I understand what you're asking, is there a way that by going through that type of process, can they change their habits? Can they change the way they think? And absolutely, I mean that's the problem, is that it's one thing. It's like let's say a person breaks their leg, and so they're on crutches and they're on the mend, and so everything starts being good again, but then they go back and do the very same thing that broke their leg the first time. Well, that's kind of like people who they go through it could be diet pills and exercise, and they do all these things that including like you said, the gastric bypass and band procedures and so forth, and then they slowly get back into the same habits that got them to where they were before. So it's like you said, it's kind of like somebody breaks their leg once, they go back to the very same thing that caused them to break their leg the first time.
Excellent. So people should connect with you. You've got the website on the screen, and folks, I just encourage you to talk to Ed. If he can serve you, I believe he'll do you good. He's literally done several things in my life to help me stop nail biting, and I've seen him help people with pain procedures, where they're dealing with a lot of remnant pain from an accident or something. I know Cindy loves you. She says the great things about you, that you helped her after she had been in an accident. And so, good things. Any final words, Ed?
Well, just encourage everybody, just kind of go along with us for the ride for this series, and there's going to be a lot of just really great information. Things you're going to learn things that they didn't know before, because I've never seen anybody delve into really the qualities of weight loss and restoration of proper weight like I do. And I think they're going to really enjoy it. At the very least, they'll be educated. And then, of course, feel free to give me a call, contact me, email me, whatever's most comfortable. I'm very transparent. I'll tell you, exactly how things proceed, and if I can be of help, absolutely great. If if I'm not the right person, that's okay too.
I agree. I know that as I look forward to other hangouts to come, we'll be talking about hypothyroidism, weight control. I'm just reading them off over here. Neuro, pathological remodeling. That's a lot to say in one couple of words. So, and thank you again, folks. We'll talk to you next time. We'll again just post a hangout, but you'll be able to get these hangouts on trans-think.com. And thanks again, Ed, for all you do.
Thank you, Pat.